Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today, I have a jaw-dropping story about how my wife lied about where she was, and what happened next was pure karma. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. This is my first time posting on Reddit, so I'm going to do my best. I don't know the acronyms yet, I'm trying to learn them all. If my writing and story is all over the place, just know I'm going off the top of my head. To start, I'm a 31 male and my wife is 28. We have two kids, ages 7 and 5. My wife asked me for a separation August 27th, 2020. She left that day and was apparently living with her mom. The day after, I got messages from her cousin saying that she had been cheating on me. My wife claimed she never did up to this day. A week after, we met up to do a Zoom meeting on her phone to meet our son's teacher online. She got a Facebook message saying something like, "Only a few hours left," with an eggplant emoji and peach emoji. After the meeting, I asked her if she could explain that, and she said she didn't want to talk about it, and that she had deleted the messages already. She said it was a girlfriend of hers, because she was going on a date, and apparently girlfriends get excited for each other, and think they're just going to get laid. Which I obviously didn't believe at all. I got really upset, and told her to leave. Around Thanksgiving, October for us in Canada, she told me she was taking the kids to another city to visit her grandparents and go swimming for Thanksgiving. She ended up lying and actually went with our kids and this guy she apparently cheated on me with and stayed in a hotel. On their drive back, the car engine blew and died. The same car she fought me for and owes almost $12,000 on and still makes payments every couple of weeks. This is when I started to believe in karma a little bit more. Between September and November, my wife and I drank together and had sex around 5 or 6 times. I still wanted her back, and I really wanted to have sex with her. The part that I'm realizing now is that she had been seeing this guy for a while. I found pictures of them about a week and a half ago. Ever since I saw those pictures and confirmed things, I've stopped talking to her. I just wanted to believe all of her lies, even when they were obvious. So she cheated on me, left me for him, and was cheating on that guy with me. Just 2 weeks ago, before I found out for sure, she came over and we talked. She let me feel her up and give her a full body massage and everything. Right now, I can't even fathom what has been going on in her head. Some other extra facts. The kids are doing well, my apartment is spotless, and I've lost 50 pounds since she left me, 235 pounds down to 185. She came to my place a couple times and has cried to me about how it's so unfair that I'm doing so much better than she is. She said it wasn't fair that I was doing all of this now and not when we were together. She told me she still loved me on Christmas and bought me Christmas gifts. Not just junk, but a bottle of sake, because she knows how much I want to visit Japan and how much I enjoy making ramen and such. So, she put thought into it. I don't mean to sound rude, but she doesn't look very good nowadays either. She put on weight and went hard into drugs and drinking. She told me she cries all the time. She told me she was depressed with me, left me thinking it'd be better, but is still depressed, and that messes with her. But as we know, happiness comes from within, and she has none. So if you left me for someone else, at least be happy about it and make the best of it. She hasn't texted me for 4 days now. That's the longest she hasn't texted me in 4 months. She told me before, when we were together, that if she ever left I would fail. When I started a job working in a kitchen, I started as a dishwasher, and she said I would never make any friends. Apparently, she forgot how social and good with people I am. All the waitresses loved me, and I moved from dishwasher to working on the line, and then was asked if I'd want to bartend. At the time I was overweight, and my self-worth and confidence were shot, so I didn't take up the bartending job. She didn't like how many people, especially girls, ended up liking me. Throughout the marriage, whenever my wife and I would go out drinking, she would always end up twerking on the wall or the floor and letting guys videotape her. She flirted with everyone and even had many of my close friends thinking I wanted a threesome with her. I don't drink often, but one Halloween I drank too much at a friend's party and ended up passing out and throwing up everywhere. While I was doing that, She was in the bathroom with guys showing her chest off for free coke and who knows what else. But she convinced me nothing happened and ended up making me think I was crazy and that everyone else was wrong, basically gaslighting me. I'm seeing a therapist now, and I'm learning that basically she just needed attention from external sources nonstop. Getting it from her husband just wasn't enough. I know we all have issues and our marriage wasn't perfect. I know I still love her and care about her, but I won't be a back earner or a second choice. I hate comparing how me and her are doing, but it makes me feel better right now. I have my own place, a dog, happy kids, my own vehicle, money, and I'm a university. Even though I feel like complete garbage, I'm working through the emotions so I can fully move on and try to be at peace. Whereas she is living with her mom with a broken car, no vehicle, asking me for money and living off CRB. COVID money, unhappy and depressed. She thought the grass was greener and found that it wasn't. She is so afraid to be alone with her own thoughts that she still sleeps with her mom or the kids sometimes. When I have moved on, she will not have. I don't know if she will ever move on because she knows she made a mistake and is stubborn. In the end, I just don't know why she cheated and left, but continued to text me, had sex with me, and told me how I'm doing so much better than her. It boggles the mind. But then again, how can you understand someone who doesn't even understand themselves? I'm doing well, but some weeks I just feel so much pain. Like, she pulled my heart out, shattered it, and had sex with the other guy on top of the shattered pieces. Anyways, that's the story. There's so much more I could say and background that I could give, but I think this does it. Thanks for reading. Feel free to ask any questions or whatnot. It's a difficult time to get separated and cheated on, what with COVID happening at the same time. Wow, Opie, here are my thoughts on the situation. The best advice is to go no contact except for instances that involve the kids. You need to stop letting her in the house. When she wants to talk, cut her off and walk away. She is a cake eater. She wants her cake, her affair partner, and to eat it too, domestic life. You're letting her hold on to that dream by even entertaining her. I know you still love her, but you admit you can't share her in your life, and that is exactly what you're doing. She can't give you what you need. Focus on yourself and your needs. Let's see what the comments had to say about the situation. Opie, here are my thoughts on the situation. The best advice is to go no contact except for instances that involve the kids. You need to stop letting her in the house. When she wants to talk, cut her off and walk away. She is a cake eater. She wants her cake, her affair partner, and to eat it too, domestic life. You're letting her hold on to that dream by even entertaining her. I know you still love her, but you admit you can't share her in your life, and that is exactly what you're doing. She can't give you what you need. Focus on yourself and your needs. This woman has major mental issues. I think many here have mentioned going after custody of your kids because, frankly, she's a mess. She has no self-control. She shows no ability to use good judgment. So, allowing her to suck you in over and over is only prolonging the inevitable. You really need to just get her out of your life and mostly out of your kids' lives. Good luck, Opie. Now, let's get into today's second story. I don't know what I'm looking for by sharing this. I'm just lonely, sad, and disappointed, and maybe I just need some reassurance that I shouldn't consider taking her back. I've, 27 male, been together with my fiancé, 24 female, since the end of 2019. In my mind, things were going great. I proposed last year on a mountain near a waterfall, and she said yes. We talked about what the wedding would be like and having children and all that. However, during our relationship, she became less interested in having sex, like from 1 or 2 times a day to 1 time a week or so. I hated that and tried to make things better. I was always careful with her and made sure she finished. She rarely reciprocated the things I always made sure to do. I hated that, but I accepted it. I am guilty because I am not good looking and I'm a boring person. I am a web designer and I usually end up staying up late working, and she woke up way sooner than I did because she was going to college at that time. She graduated last summer. I mention this because that was one of her common complaints, that I stayed up late and we didn't have the same schedule. I am guilty of that indeed, and the fact that I haven't had many activities outside the internet. She is also kind of lonely. She doesn't have many friends, and in my mind, we were getting along great until this May when a few days prior to my birthday, she told me she wanted to break up. I was devastated. For a week, she didn't say anything, and then she texted me that we had to talk and maybe sort things out because she wanted to get back with me. I forgot to mention that I moved in with her last year after I proposed around October. She told me that she was frustrated that I wasn't paying attention to her and I wasn't helping her enough with the chores. That is true. I was also frustrated by the fact that she was never in the mood. She said it was because she just didn't feel the need to do it. I guess it was a vicious cycle. We talked, got back together, and sort of moved back to her place. However, in that particular period of time, she unintentionally hinted that she had been seeing someone during the week we were separated. I pushed her, and she confessed that she had been going out with a guy but said she didn't do anything with him. I was mad, but little did I know that it was worse than I could ever imagine. We got over it, and a few days ago, with the seed of doubt planted in my mind, she asked me to look for something in her purse. I found 2 packs of condoms, one opened with one missing. I confronted her, and she told me that she didn't remember, that she would never cheat on me, that they were old. However, the unopened pack was from 2020. I acted like I believed her, and maybe a part of me did. But yesterday, while cleaning her desk, I moved her mouse, and the screen of the laptop turned on. I want to mention that never have I ever invaded the privacy of anyone, but given the last days, I needed answers. I read on her Facebook chats with a girlfriend of hers that indeed she wanted me back and she didn't do anything with him, even though she lied to me about how she met him. With a sigh of relief, I searched for the word sex in a conversation with another girl she was close to last year. I wanted to know what I was doing wrong or why she didn't like it, and oh boy did my world crash right there. The first result was from last year, where my fiancé described how hot her athletic colleague was and how much she wanted him. It was a graphic description. The others described how she went to a coffee shop with him in a short skirt, and then she went to his house and had sex with him. That was during the months of April and May. I don't know how many times it happened. She said she was trembling and that he had sent her a couple of pictures and she couldn't refuse him. At that point, my hands were shaking and I felt sick. I went back even further, and she had talked to her about other guys she was talking to in March, and she said she was considering getting Tinder. I confronted her yesterday and she couldn't believe I found out. For half an hour, she kept saying she hadn't cheated on me until she started crying and got on her knees. She said that it was a mistake and that she loved me and wanted to marry me and have my children and all that. I got what I could carry of my things, packed them into my car, and left. Well, Opie, you're doing everything right except for one thing, blaming yourself. You're a decent, honorable guy and you don't deserve this kind of treatment. Nobody does. Remember, she could have said no to the engagement. She could have come to you before breaking up and said that she wanted to date other people. She could have canceled the engagement at any time because of doubts. You're the innocent victim of her bad actions. Forget the alpha/beta crap. Good women stick with good guys. She's not a good woman. If you want a good woman, keep being a good guy, but maybe with a little more awareness next time. For now, do what makes you happy. Sports, working out, hobbies, reading, and travel. Do all the things you always wanted to do in your life. Empty the bucket list. Your happiness will not start when you find the right woman. You'll find the right woman when you're happy and want to share it. I wish you the best of luck with your situation, Opie. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment below with your thoughts on today's stories. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. In today's story, Opie found out his wife cheated on him after he had suspicion she was having an affair, then decided to put a GPS tracker in her car. After doing so, he then discovered that his wife was at a motel with her affair partner, so he paid her a nice surprise visit and served her with divorce papers while she was there. Now, she's a wreck. Let's get into today's story. I have been married 7 years to my wife. We have no kids. 2 years ago, though, she started a new career and has been very successful. At the time she started, She mentioned a man that she works with, but said on more than one occasion that he was a jerk and she didn't like to work with him. Since then, she has softened a bit and really doesn't mention him much. I felt like I had no major reason for concern. I've always trusted my wife, and although our marriage is not perfect, I felt like we got along pretty well. Fast forward to about a month ago, I started noticing some changes in behavior. She was texting a lot more and never letting her phone leave her side. She seemed to have more things going on at night and on the weekends. She became cold towards me and wouldn't reciprocate any affection. She also lied to me several times about strange things. The last lie was when she was packing for a business trip and I noticed she had purchased a new, much more revealing bathing suit than anything I'd ever seen her wear. I asked her about it, and she said she ordered it online. Not true. And once she tried it on, decided it wasn't appropriate for a business trip to Florida with her colleagues. She then left for the trip and took the bathing suit with her. While she was gone, I decided to do a little digging. I had never in our entire relationship ever gone through my wife's things, but I had had enough of all the lies. In one of her work bags, I found a drawing someone had done of her, almost like a caricature, but it was done on paper from a hotel. I also found a post-it note with driving directions to her male coworker's house written in her handwriting. I went through our bank statements and found that many times when she was supposedly at work, she was out to different restaurants around the city. This was enough for me to investigate further. I'm a private investigator by trade and ethically. I have no problem invading someone's privacy when confronted with reasonable suspicion of wrongdoing. I placed a GPS tracker in her car, legal in my state since the title is in my name. The Sunday after she got back from her trip, she told me she was going to work at a coffee shop and run some errands. Her car never came within 1 mile of a Chipotle, but when she got home, she walked in holding a Chipotle cup and confirmed she had eaten there. Then on the following Tuesday, she told me she had to go to a company dinner and would be working late until dinner. The GPS showed her leaving work at 3:20 in the afternoon and driving to the restaurant where her car remained until 9 o'clock that night. The final straw came on the next Saturday. We were supposed to watch my niece play tennis at 8 in the morning. She said she wanted to drive separately so she could leave the venue and go to work at a coffee shop. After the match, she told me she was heading to X coffee shop and added a few details about why she wanted to go to that coffee shop. I said, "Have a good day," and went to my vehicle. Well, on the GPS, I watched as she drove directly to a Comfort Inn motel. I got to the Comfort Inn and waited in an adjacent parking lot until I could confirm that she was actually in the building and not sitting in her car. I called her from the lobby and asked how is X coffee shop. She said it was good. Why? The only other thing I said was come down here, so we can get this over with. Once she came down, she said these exact words. "It's not what you think. He has to do this because he's been caught with other girls before." I asked what she was talking about, and she said that he always works in hotel rooms. She said that they didn't do anything physical, and that's when I told her to get out of my car. I drove away, and she called 50 times. I finally answered, and I told her if she tells me even one more lie, I'm hanging up. She said that they did kiss once about 5 months prior, but that it was a mistake and didn't mean anything. She said again that they were just working. I asked how many times had she met him in hotels, and she said about 10 over the last 9 months. I then asked what she did on that Tuesday, and she became defensive. She said she was at work all day until her work dinner. I called her a liar and hung up the phone. She showed up at our house where I was loading up my car with my belongings and my dog. She stood in the driveway refusing to move until I talked to her. She was in hysterics, crying and apologizing. I moved out that day and have been gone for a month. We have met a few times for her to try to explain things. However, when it becomes my turn to ask questions, she becomes very upset, gets defensive, and says things like answering these questions isn't good for the relationship. She's also lied about several of the details, even when the details seem completely inconsequential. I've called her on the lies, and she accuses me of trapping her by asking questions I already know the answers to. Through all of this, she has remained constant that this was not a romantic relationship. She said that she became really good friends with this man and that he was helping her with her career. She admitted that their conversations would become inappropriate when they would talk about our marital issues. She's admitted to texting him and deleting the text saying that they weren't romantic, but could be seen as flirting. She said that she has been depressed for a really long time and he was good at talking her out of those feelings and encouraging her in her work. I know I'm being deceived here, but there's a part of me that believes her. It may be that I want to believe her because I love her or I'm afraid of the truth. I'm really hung up on finding out the truth, but the reality is I don't see any way that I can get over the facts that I do know, so why does it matter? Am I losing my mind? Update. We are a month out from Discovery Day. I spoke with her last night, and here are the highlights. I asked if she has talked to the man over the last 4 weeks. She said that he doesn't know that I showed up at the hotel on Discovery Day and called her out. She also said she hasn't talked to him about the situation because this is an issue in our marriage and doesn't involve him. I asked if she has stopped all non-work related communication with him. She said that she is tapering down. Tapering down? I lost it. She said she feels like she has to taper down rather than no contact because he doesn't know that I busted her. Infuriating. She then lied about a completely insignificant detail. I called her on it, and I was 100% confident that she was lying. She denied it to the point of yelling and never relented. I left it and chalked it up as one more unresolved issue in this saga. After she told me she was tapering off social communication with the other man, I hid a voice recorder in my house and left. Last night I reviewed the tape and discovered my wife and this other man had spent well over an hour on the phone with each other over the course of at least 2 phone calls. My recorder died in the afternoon. I would assume they talked again in the evening if not more. I didn't hear too many specifics from the phone call, but I did hear a few alarming things. They talked for a while about the current state of affairs in our marriage, something she claimed he knew nothing about. They talked about how to use the secret phone app on their phones so they could not be detected. She called me a jerk for showing up late for breakfast that morning, and they talked and laughed about a million other topics. I haven't heard my wife that giddy since we were dating. I confronted her about all of this, and she admitted to some of it, but denied other parts of it. I don't really care anymore. Here's another update. For the past 2 weeks, I have gone no contact with my wife. A few days ago, she texted me and asked if we could talk. I told her unless she was willing to confess to everything that I was not willing to talk. She then said she knows I've wiretapped her phone and that I already know everything. I told her I needed to hear it from her directly. She finally agreed to sit down and tell me everything. She came to my house and confessed that her relationship with the other man was indeed sexual and that it had been going on for the past 6 months. She admitted that she purchased a hotel room one day before our anniversary to be with him. She also confirmed that she had continued talking to him after being caught, and he was helping her deal with my questions. She claims that she has now broken it off with the other man for good and wants to work on our marriage. This confession came 6 agonizing weeks after I caught her in the hotel. I believe the only reason she confessed is due to my persistence. However, she said that she was always planning to tell me but wanted to make sure it wouldn't hurt either one of us too badly. The damage done during those 6 weeks is unsurmountable. And one final update. First, let me say this: if you're in this situation and you're even remotely having thoughts of taking your life, don't do it. I say don't do it because if you do, you're going to miss out on the greatest time of your life. I mean that 100% sincerely. I know it's impossible to see when you're first going down this road, but trust me, don't miss out on this life. Now the update. We got divorced. I took my time in making that decision. I wish I wouldn't have taken that time, but who cares? She wanted to stay together. For what reason, I have no clue. She lied and gaslighted me for an eternity, and that torpedoed any reconciliation possibility for me. It's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. During my marriage, I was all in. I wasn't perfect, but I loved my wife with all my heart and wanted to be with her forever. I would have done anything to make her happy, and I think I did on several occasions. Now that I'm away from that relationship, I can see it for what it was. A narcissist crushing every ounce of energy out of a good person. That marriage was completely one-sided, with one person giving everything and the other person taking even more than could be given. By the end of the marriage, I truly thought I was worthless as a partner. She degraded my profession, my personality, and my looks. Since getting divorced, my business has flourished, and I've been able to date women that I would have thought were way out of my league. I seriously thought I was ugly in part because of the way my ex-wife made me feel, but now I'm having gorgeous women much younger than me approach me in bars. I've been in a couple of wonderful relationships with great women. They ended amicably for general compatibility issues, but it illuminated how terrible of a partner my ex-wife really was. I don't have any contact with the ex anymore, really don't even think about her very often. This divorce became contentious because she thought I was getting too much of the money even though I was taking less than 50% because I wanted it to go smoothly without breaking up businesses and retirements. Can you imagine that? Cheating on someone and then getting upset about the amount of money they're taking even though it's less than 50%. That hammered home for me that I was making the right decision and I needed to get away from this garbage as fast as possible. I lost friends in the divorce. Good riddance. Most took my side, but I don't care about those that didn't. They made it easy for me to jettison them. I lost my in-law family. This is one of the hardest parts. I really love some of them, but I get it. I sent enough correspondence to the affair partner's wife that I'm 100% confident she knows. She never contacted me back, and I'll respect her decision. Some advice if you're fresh in this nightmare. Separate yourself from the situation. This is the only way you're going to be able to think clearly without being gaslit. Get professional help. I was in therapy for a long time. It helps. I'm so much stronger now because of it. Surround yourself with friends and family as much as possible. Make healthy choices. Go to the gym. Limit drugs and alcohol. Get outside and try to sleep. Take people's advice but make your own decisions. It's your life. There were some really dark days after Discovery Day, but after the initial heartache, it has been the best time of my life. I'm truly happy every day. If you're going through this and need some advice from a self-proclaimed expert, hit me up. I'm happy to help. A huge thanks to everyone here who helped me when I was struggling. Cheers. Wow, Opie. I'm glad to hear how much better you're doing now. In one of your other updates, you were mentioning how you were considering staying with her. I'm glad you immediately came to your senses and realized that you needed to get this train wreck out of your life as soon as possible. Your story serves as a perfect example that life can get better after going through a situation like this. It'll take some time, but once things do start to improve for you in life, you will be able to move on. You mentioned that your wife barely even crosses your mind anymore, which shows you have truly moved on. As far as the friends that you lost along the way, they were never your friends in the first place. True friends will stick by you, especially in times like what you went through. I wish you the best, Opie, and hope your life continues to blossom with excellence. Thanks for taking your time to listen to today's story. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's story. If there's a story you'd like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today, I've got a shocking story about how my wife reunited with her ex-boyfriend and thought it was the start of something new. But what happened next left her begging for mercy. Stay tuned. You won't believe this. My wife was a literate woman, so she really enjoyed writing letters to a couple of pen pals. It was always her thing, and I never questioned her about it. She'd tell me a few things about what her friends were up to, but it was never anything that weird. She was always the one to get the mail to. It came while I was at work, and she never failed to bring it in. I never saw the mail she received. I just assumed she would tell me if anything exciting was happening. My wife got a gym membership. I couldn't believe it, but within 5 months she lost 50 pounds. That is an extreme weight loss, and she earned it. I was really enjoying her new confidence in the bedroom, but our bedroom activities gradually became less frequent. I was pretty bummed that it always seemed like she was focused on something deep in thought about daily problems or at the gym. I eventually persuaded her, but it seemed like something was on her mind. I asked her what was up, and she said one of her pen pals was moving to town soon, and she was nervous to meet her in person. I told her she shouldn't worry about it or feel like she has to go. I offered to go with her, and she insisted that wasn't necessary because she was too nervous to change the dynamic of their relationship and was going to keep their relationship to strictly pen pals. As soon as she said this, I suddenly had a flashback of what she told me before we got married about an ex-boyfriend she had that was serving time in prison. They were together for several years, and his release date wasn't until that very same year. I swear I nearly had a heart attack. I grabbed my chest and went into the bathroom. My wife was asking me what was wrong, what was going through my head, and I asked her shakily if she was talking about her ex being released from prison. She hesitated to answer, but said yes, like a deflating balloon. She looked super nervous and sweaty. I asked her what else she was hiding from me. She pretended to be innocent and clueless, but I told her I knew her for 8 years, and she wasn't going to get any lies past me. She said that he already got out, and she already saw him several times. Even worse, she could be pregnant and wasn't sure who the father was. I steadied myself from falling over and yelled breathlessly for her to get out. I couldn't even look at her. I couldn't believe she was despicable enough to do this disgusting thing she just admitted to. She pleaded with me not to leave her because she wasn't sure who the father was, and if it was my baby, we should keep our family together. I told her she was nuts for thinking that sleeping with her ex-felon boyfriend was forgivable. We had no idea who the father was, and that was horrible. I eventually got her outside, along with some clothes and crap she owned. She was sitting out there for a while, but when I checked the fifth time, she was gone. I didn't know what she was going to do, but I honestly hoped she wouldn't go to the felon. Over the next 3 months, she tried calling me, leaving me emotional voicemails, and texting to ask for money. She was staying with the felon. She wouldn't admit it was his baby until I told her I wouldn't give her money either way. Then she told me it was his. She said he drank a lot, and she felt like it was only a matter of time until he went back to prison. Well, before he got in trouble with the law again, he got in trouble with her. He slept with several other women and didn't try to be discreet about it at all. He didn't respect her at all, and it was painfully clear he didn't consider her to be anything close to a wife. She started calling me sorrowfully every week. She said she had no idea her life was going to end up like this. She admitted that she blamed herself and her stupid mistake. I told her that admitting she made a mistake, or several, was the first step to making smarter decisions. She asked me what was going to happen to her, and I wish I could have prepared her for what was to come. She was dumped and kicked out by her felon lover, for months pregnant. Shortly after that, he was taken back to prison while hosting a party with illegal things. She told me on a voicemail that she was taken into a women's shelter, but it was first come first serve each night, so sometimes she failed to get there early enough and had to sleep on a park bench. If she couldn't find a new place to live, she was at risk of having her baby taken by Child Protective Services. I was nervous for her, but didn't involve myself too much with it. I knew she was no longer my responsibility, and things have a way of sorting themselves out somehow. I wish she would have been honest and appreciated the new life she created with me. Instead, it's like she wanted to have a relationship with both of us. She made several poor decisions by going behind my back and lying so many times she lost the great life we had together. Wow, Opie, I am so sorry your wife betrayed you and kept in contact with her ex without telling you. Not only that, but she had so many chances to come clean or stop communicating with him. She should have gone to the gym to improve her health and spice up her marriage with you. It's a shame she didn't realize how good she had it before giving it all up. I'm not sure what he was sent to prison for, but usually it's a good idea to consider that fact before jumping into a serious relationship. Thankfully, there are a lot of ways to keep tabs on where a significant other is. It's a shame it's even necessary. A person who's ready to commit to a long-term relationship should have to prove it by dating for a long time while remaining independent. I know life throws all kinds of different situations out there, but that's why it's wise to be slow to move in with someone or get married. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I wish you all the best going forward. Now, let's get into our second story for today. My wife and her friends took 6 months to plan a vacation to the Netherlands without me. I worked a lot, but I encouraged her to go with her friends. None of them had significant others, and this was her thing from the beginning. I wasn't going to tell her no because it was her decision, even though I was her partner. I never thought she put herself in a situation to cheat on me, but I was wrong. She just happened to be communicating with a man from the Netherlands for longer than it took to plan the trip. When I was expecting her home, she called me and told me that as hard as it was for her to do it, she was leaving me. Well, technically, she had already left me. She was going to stay in the Netherlands. I was shocked. Before I could ask many questions, she told me she met someone there and instantly fell in love. She no longer cared for the life she built with me. I couldn't believe what she was saying. She was my wife, and we just talked about conceiving a child, but she took advantage of my money to leave me for someone else. After pressuring her for answers and accusing her of leaving her husband for a stranger, she admitted that she'd been talking with him for almost a year before planning the trip. Our divorce was pretty straightforward. She left me and suddenly moved to a different country, so I got to keep the house and didn't owe her alimony. She called me a month later, sobbing and remorseful. She said AP kicked her out. She had nowhere to go and no way to get a loan. She begged me to help her get back to the country and assured me I'd never hear from her again unless it was to pay me back for the cost of the ticket. I pretended to think about it so she could go on about how stupid she was. It was music to my ears. Then I told her no, I would never help her or speak to her again because she was a horrible person. She wailed in misery as I hung up and blocked her number. Her family called me, confused, 1 week later. They told me they finally got a call from her, and she said some crazy stuff they wanted to confirm with me. After confirming that we did divorce, they asked me if she was actually stranded there. I told them I wasn't sure because she was none of my concern anymore since she left the country to be with AP. They were stunned and silent, and could only ask me if I was sure. I said yes, and they apologized to me, saying they couldn't believe their own daughter was capable of this despicable behavior. They also explained that she told them she was stranded with nowhere to live because I left her there while we were on vacation, which led her into the arms of the man she was staying with, who recently kicked her out. I told them that wasn't true, but it was fine if they didn't believe me because our divorce was final. They were more willing to believe me than her. They said she asked them for a plane ticket home because she didn't have a dime to her name and no connections or approvals for a loan. I was just as disappointed in her as they were, for her poor decisions and complete disrespect for her family. She didn't even care to update them about her life or ask for advice before getting into this situation. They told me they were going to help her, but it would be the last time they ever spoke to her because they were so betrayed and hurt. They planned to disown her like she was so willing to do to them and me. I was glad to hear it, but tried to sound indifferent. It wasn't until another year passed that I actually heard from my ex-wife. She was back in the country, but completely alone. It was February when she left me a voicemail saying she needed me back. She was crying and didn't know where she was going. Call me what you will, I never called her back. We might as well be strangers in life now. I've been healing and building my own fortune. I guess my life would best be compared to Principal Lewis from American Dad. I have hope for the future instead of bitterness for women. I know my experience was crazy, but if I take the time I need to find a good woman worth keeping, it's unlikely to happen again. I mostly live gratefully, without expecting anything while accepting good things with humility. Opie, I am so sorry your wife abandoned you to move in with AP. I know she conspired to leave you for him if they hit it off on the vacation. You can't just leave the life you knew while keeping it secret from everyone and then expect family to be there when you need them. Life decisions bring consequences, so make sure your decisions are as considerate of others as possible. She didn't think anything through and was a fool to think this could turn out well. Chances are it's never a good idea to give up your family for something that might not work out. Having a secret romantic interest while in a marriage is nothing but trouble, and a respectable spouse would never put themselves in that situation. If you're comfortable in your marital home, appreciate who you have and avoid stabbing them in the back. I wish you nothing but the best going forward. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today, I've got an intense story about how my wife ridiculed me and thought she could get away with it. But I fought back in a way that left her begging for mercy. You won't believe what happened next. Dude, your wife's a total smoke show. The words hung in the smoke from the grill, a little too loud, just friendly enough to pass as a tipsy compliment. I tossed another burger on, trying to ignore the way my gut twisted. It was Steve, of course, the one who always pushed a little too far. Sarah laughed, and that familiar clench settled deeper. Of course, she was radiant. Hell, I'd helped design the damn house we were celebrating, but tonight I was just the guy flipping patties. Watching them, the power suits and flirty smiles, I felt like a contractor crashing a Wall Street cocktail hour. Sarah's eyes found mine across the yard, a brief flash of warmth. "Don't worry," she mouthed, that playful wink that used to melt me right down to my boots. "I'm saving the best wine for just us." I should have felt reassured, I didn't. Sarah wasn't just beautiful, she had this way of lighting up a room, the kind of energy that got her clients, got her promotions. Me, I did solid work, steady, the kind that paid the mortgage on time but never turned heads. Tonight, even in our own damn home, I felt outshined. The rest of the night was a blur. Good food, a few too many beers, folks gushing over the renovation as if Sarah had hammered every nail herself. It was a good party, in theory, so why did I have the nagging feeling that somewhere between the exposed brick and the gleaming kitchen countertops, a tiny crack had just widened? I tried to shake it off, blame it on Steve's comment, or an extra whiskey, but the doubt lingered. We cleared up, just the two of us. The house was quiet now, the buzz of the party replaced by an echoing silence. "Damn, that was fun," Sarah said, stretching with a yawn. "Yeah," I mumbled, trying to match her smile and failing. I knew I should feel proud. Instead, all I could think about was how damn tired I was of playing the role of supportive husband, the guy on the sidelines, the one who always got the leftover wine. That damn phone became my nemesis. Before, it was just a sleek rectangle on the nightstand, a thing for Sarah to swipe emails on while I pretended to sleep. Now, it was like a loaded gun, the soft glow of the screen a promise of landmines. It started with those late-night vibrations. I'd jolt awake, heart pounding, and find her already rolling over, fumbling and irritated, sorry, work thing. But the name? It wasn't someone from her office, not a client I knew. And it was never just once. A second buzz, followed by that sleepy murmur into the pillow. Then there was the night I couldn't take it anymore. I lay rigid, listening to her breathe, the air thick with that cologne I didn't recognize, sharp, spicy, and way too damn bold. It clung to her, even with her back turned to me. The next morning I almost brought it up. The words hovered between us like stale toast crumbs. "So, who's the late-night workaholic?" But the look in her eyes stopped me. Tired, sure, but also exhilarated. Like she had a secret. That's when the suspicion settled in, a cold lump in my stomach. The texts became bolder. I'd sneak a look when she was in the shower, heart pounding in my own damn shower stall. Can't stop thinking about last night. Did they mean what I thought they meant? The worst part was I couldn't talk to anyone. Steve's voice echoed in my head, "Dude, your wife." I pictured their knowing smirks. And Sarah? She was so bright and bubbly these days, humming as she whipped up those fancy dinners. Was I going to be that guy? The jealous husband, the one accusing his wife when all she was doing was killing it at work, right? But that damn phone wouldn't shut up. And the cologne. Oh God, the cologne was everywhere. It was starting to drive me a little insane. "Babe, guess what? I'm heading to Chicago this weekend. Huge conference thing, could be amazing for my career." Sarah chirped, popping a cherry tomato in her mouth like it was some kind of prize. There wasn't a cloud in her sky. If only I shared her enthusiasm. Instead, my stomach did that familiar flip-flop thing. "That's great," I managed, avoiding her eyes. "Chicago." That was way more than some local industry shindig. Later that night, I became an amateur detective. Our closet held few secrets, but tonight it felt like a crime scene. Her side, overflowing with new stuff, power suits, silky things I'd bet my last dollar she never wore to the office. My side, rumpled jeans, flannel collecting dust. The message wasn't subtle. Then I found it, under the bed, not fully hidden, a suitcase. That sleek leather thing was never for office supplies. I knelt, slowly unzipping it enough to peek in. Dress shoes, men's, not mine. My mind raced. Fancy networking event. Bullshit. There was nothing on her company calendar, not even a hint of Chicago. Invite only, she'd said, a little smirk in her voice. Yeah, more like, couples not welcome. I wanted to confront her, demand an explanation, but what was I supposed to say? Honey, I don't like the cut of your new dress, or the suspicious way you leave your phone face down. She'd laugh, or worse, get pissed. Easier to close that suitcase, shove it back into the shadows. The neglected fly fishing rod in the corner of the garage mocked me. A quiet weekend by the river suddenly sounded damn appealing. The thing was, deep down, beneath the anger and the hurt, I knew a fight wouldn't change anything. It would just make me the pathetic husband chasing his wife's shadow. And Chicago, well, that felt inevitable. The gym smelled like rubber and desperate ambition. It was never my scene. Too many mirrors, too many grunts, the kind of place where Sarah actually thrived, all sleek ponytail and fierce determination. But there I was, huffing on a treadmill like a beached whale. Looking good, man. A voice broke through my self-pity. Alex, a grinning giant with biceps bigger than my thighs, slapped my back with a force that nearly sent me flying. We'd struck up a weird gym bro friendship, built on spotting each other and making fun of the guys who did curls in the squat rack. Hey, looking leaner yourself, I managed between gasps. Honestly, a few weeks back, I couldn't even keep up with the old lady power walking next to me. Now, there was the tiniest hint of something resembling muscle under this dad bod. Between sets, Alex and I would shoot the breeze. Turns out, he was going through a messy divorce. Turns out, my wife had a conference in Cabo with her personal trainer, he joked darkly. And there it was, that shared language of betrayal, a little too close for comfort. One sticky afternoon, post-workout, the words just slid out, you know. My wife's been super busy too. I tried for casual, failed miserably. Alex squinted at me. Busy. Sarah used to come here all the time. Killer on the Stairmaster. I choked on my protein shake. Used to. Sarah hadn't shown her face around here for months. Those early morning Pilates classes she loved where the rest of the day was a blur. Did Alex know something? Was I an idiot, the last to figure it out? At home, the silence was deafening. Sarah's yoga mat lay abandoned, gathering dust in the corner. Every inch of that perfect house felt like a lie. That night, as I lay in bed next to Sarah, her breathing soft and even, it hit me. It wasn't just about fitness. It was about a whole side of her life, a part of herself she'd stopped sharing with me a long time ago. 2 eggs over easy, bacon extra crispy. Oh hey, honey, you made it. Sarah's voice was like a punch to the gut. I'd pictured her at some swanky conference, power breakfasting with executives. Instead, she was perched at our regular Sunday brunch spot, bright as a damn daisy. Worse, she wasn't alone. Across from her, a guy I'd never seen before was grinning, his hand lingering way too long on hers as he passed the syrup. The laughter that rang out should have been familiar, but it cut through me like a stranger's. A wave of nausea washed over me. I couldn't face her, not with her perfect smile and some random dude playing the adoring boyfriend. I mumbled some crap about forgetting my wallet and stumbled toward the exit, the cheerful platter of brunch fading behind me. Out on the street, I leaned against a brick wall, trying to breathe. Alex's words from our last gym session echoed in my head. Mate, a woman like that needs attention. Was this it? Had Sarah found someone who gave her the attention I couldn't? Someone successful, exciting, someone I wasn't? A flashback hit me, sharp as a slap. Alex's ex-wife, laughing over cocktails with her tanned, personal trainer, while Alex poured his heart out in a sweaty gym. Was I walking the same damn path? Blindsided, clueless, just another pathetic husband about to be left in the dust. Shame and fear twisted in my gut. It wasn't just about Sarah slipping away, it was about me. Had I become so invisible to my own wife that she needed to look elsewhere? You clean up nice. Sarah's approval was a distant memory. Lately, it was more like a quick appraisal than back to her phone. Tonight, I made damn sure she noticed. I stood in front of the mirror, not recognizing the guy staring back. The gym was paying off, There was an edge to my shoulders I hadn't seen in years. I chose the tie she used to love, bright blue, the one she now called a bit much. I polished my shoes till they gleamed. At the office party, the usual crowd milled around the makeshift bar. My tired jokes fell flat until I spotted her, the intern with the bright eyes and a laugh that hadn't been dulled by endless spreadsheets. Her name was, hell, I couldn't remember. Didn't matter. Something shifted in me as I refilled her drink, a recklessness I hadn't felt in a long, long time. She giggled as I told a story, her gaze lingering just that bit too long. Was it my imagination, or was there a flicker of genuine interest? Sarah walked by then. I caught her eye, a silent challenge in my stance. Nice effort, she said, the words more automatic than sincere. It should have hurt, but instead, I felt a surge of something dangerous, something defiant. Maybe I wasn't playing the game well, but Christ, it felt good to be a player again. The rest of the night was messy. Another drink, more whispered conversations with the intern. A part of me screamed that this was pathetic, some sad middle-aged cliché. But a darker part, a resentful and wounded part, whispered back, why not? The cab ride home was a blur. Stepping into our silent house, I knew this wasn't a victory. It was a declaration of war. And the worst part was, I wasn't even sure who I was fighting anymore. It started subtly, a discarded fitness magazine on the kitchen counter, a green smoothie replacing her usual latte. Then, it was full-blown makeover mode. Out went the sensible pantsuits, in came figure-hugging dresses and heels I was pretty sure she couldn't walk in. New year, new me. She'd shirked, a gleam in her eye I hadn't seen in ages. But this wasn't the same glow of conference promotions or closed deals. It was something sharper, fiercer. There was a restless energy about her, a buzzing beneath the perfect makeup. And damn, if it wasn't working. Sarah was turning heads. Even mine. I'd catch myself staring a little too long over breakfast, my traitorous mind racing. Was this all because of me? My stupid little flirtation at the office party, my newfound gym obsession. Had it woken the sleeping tiger? Guilt clawed at me. Confronting her about Mr. Brunch had seemed impossible. But my twisted little act of retaliation now felt like throwing gasoline on a fire. She wasn't just getting fit or revamping her wardrobe, it was like she was reinventing herself, becoming some shimmering, untouchable version I barely recognized. Late one night, I snuck a peek at her phone. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't stop myself. No racy texts, just Pinterest boards full of workout inspiration and edgy outfit ideas. Yet, that just made it scarier. Sarah didn't need another man, she was becoming her own damn trophy. And me? I was both horrified and strangely fascinated. A dark, selfish voice whispered, fair play. Wasn't this the vibrant, exciting woman I'd been missing? Even if she was miles away from who I thought I knew, the thrill of the unknown was strangely potent. Girls' night, don't wait up, Sarah trilled, a flurry of silk and perfume. Her excitement buzzed in the air, a sharp, nervous energy that set my teeth on edge. The text to Alex was already typed and waiting on my phone. Fancy a pint? I hesitated, finger hovering over the send button. This wasn't some childish revenge scheme anymore, it was… what the hell was it? Sarah's reflection caught my eye as she shimmied into a dress that screamed. Cocktails, not catching up with the book club. It was my turn for a makeover. The shirt that stretched a little tighter across my chest, a splash of that cologne Sarah used to bury her nose in, now completely ignored. We went through the motions. The kiss on the cheek that felt more like an afterthought than affection, the muttered, have funs, laden with unspoken accusations. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence roared. Alex met me at our usual dive bar, the one with the sticky tables and too loud jukebox. We didn't have to say much. One look, the clink of beer bottles, and the pact was sealed. Tonight, we weren't drowning our sorrows, we were drowning in a defiant, desperate kind of freedom. Each sip brought a hollow satisfaction. Was I becoming the kind of guy who snuck around? I didn't like the answer. But as the night blurred around the edges, I pushed it away. Sarah was playing her game. Tonight, I was playing mine. And God help us both, neither of us looked ready to fold. The laughter fell brittle between my teeth. 2 martinis in, and the girls seemed less like friends and more like props for a performance. My eyes drifted towards the bar, drawn to the sleek lines, the promise of danger disguised as sophistication. He was there, not in some shadowy corner, but front and center, a spotlight finding him even in the dim hotel lounge. Conference guy, his hand was on my waist now, a touch too possessive, yet the thrill of being wanted, truly wanted, outweighed any discomfort. Then the world tilted. Across the room, a reflection in the mirrored wall caught my eye. Mark, my breath hitched. He was with her, the intern, her fingers brushing his sleeve with a casual intimacy that ripped through me. It should have been a shock, a final blow. But beneath the stab of betrayal, something else stirred. It wasn't sadness or even anger, but a chilling recognition. We'd become grotesque parodies of ourselves, caught in a twisted dance of deception. Mark's gaze locked onto mine. There was no accusation in his eyes, no plea for understanding. Instead, I saw a hardened resolve, a chilling mirror of my own determination. And that's when I knew we were past the point of no return. Alex's voice broke through the haze. "You guys okay, another round?" he asked, oblivious to the silent war raging across the crowded bar. My hand reached for my untouched drink, the ice already melted. Every instinct said to walk away, to break this ridiculous cycle. But as I touched the rim of the glass, Mark raised his own, a silent toast echoing mine. In that single gesture, we made our choice. Tonight, there would be no surrender, no retreat. Only the bitter taste of lies we refused to let go of. The front door slammed open like a gunshot. The air thrummed with tension, the once cozy living room now a battleground of shattered illusions. "Where the hell have you been?" Sarah's voice cracked, the defiance barely masking a tremor. "Out." I shoved past her, the word laced with a bitterness I could barely contain. "You seem to be the expert on that. This wasn't how it was supposed to go." There were grand speeches in my head, accusations, recriminations. Yet, as we circled each other like wounded predators, the speeches turned into single, jagged words. "You think I don't know?" Sarah's mascara was a warpath down her cheeks. That little intern, parading her around. "Oh, like you're one to talk." My laugh was harsh, humorless. "Mr. Fancy Cocktails, is it? Bet he loved how successful, how independent you were." Hours blurred into a torrent of accusations. Betrayals were laid bare, trust reduced to dust. Every success, every insecurity, was a weapon. We were experts at inflicting wounds we'd nursed for months. Then, somewhere between the sobbed insults and the silence, exhaustion seeped in. We stood in the wreckage of our carefully built home, two strangers linked only by the shared misery we'd created. "I knew you'd never be enough," Sarah whispered, but it lacked venom. It was just an observation. My anger bled out, leaving a hollow ache. "Don't you dare," I started, but the fight was gone. "Don't pretend, it's all my fault." And in that silence, between the tear tracks and the empty bottles, a terrible realization dawned. We weren't fighting for our marriage anymore, not even fighting to win. This was about mutually assured destruction, about proving we could hurt each other as deeply as we'd hurt ourselves. Sunlight sliced through the blinds, a harsh accusation in the silent house. There was no dramatic hangover, just a bone-deep weariness that mimicked the ache in my chest. I expected to feel something, rage, triumph, anything. Instead, there was just a numb emptiness. The scent of coffee usually filled the kitchen, a little ritual of normalcy. Today, the countertop gleamed, spotless and cold. Half-finished mugs sat on the table, remnants of a battle that felt like a lifetime ago. Upstairs, a single suitcase lay on the bed, zipper yawning open. Not the dramatic sweep of clothes flung in fury that I'd imagined, but a calculated selection. Sarah always was efficient, even in leaving. I heard the click of heels on the hardwood, the final twist of the key in the lock. Not a bang, not a scream, but a quiet, definitive click. I wasn't sure if it was my heart or the damn door that shattered. In the aftermath, there were no crowds, no grand declarations. Just me, amidst the wreckage of our home, trying to reconcile the taste of victory with the crushing hollowness of defeat. I'd won, hadn't I? Yet, all that lingered was the bitter taste of ash on my tongue. Did I make her laugh in the end? I couldn't bring myself to ask the interns or the cocktail guys. Didn't matter. Instead of the strong, independent woman I'd resented, I saw Sarah as she must have felt. Lonely, adrift, chasing a reflection she couldn't find. And the sickening realization hit, I'd helped create that. They say revenge is best served cold. What they don't mention is that while it burns your enemy, the flames lick you too. Our love, what was left of it, had curdled into something poisonous. I looked around at the broken pieces, the house that once hummed with life, and knew the truth. We were both losers in this stupid, destructive game. The gym clock blinked in the darkness, 6:15 a.m. It wasn't a punishment anymore, this relentless sweat, the sting of muscles pushed to limit. It was a routine, just another brick in the wall I was carefully rebuilding. The bar scene faded into a hazy memory, along with the bitter taste of too many cheap whiskeys. Alex was a decent enough guy, but those boozy nights had left me hollow. Now, the only guy the first could tolerate was the slightly fitter, more jaded version staring back at me in the locker room mirror. Change wasn't dramatic, didn't come with a flash of inspiration or a triumphant soundtrack. It was the slow stuff. Bins of wilted vegetables dumped out, a repaired leaky faucet that had nagged at me for months, the stack of unread books finally cracked open instead of mindlessly scrolling through my phone. One afternoon, amidst the urban bustle, I saw her. Not on purpose, just a flicker of that familiar blonde hair disappearing into a crowd. Sarah looked thinner, less vibrant. Seeing her no longer sent a jolt through me, but a faint echo of sadness. I didn't know where she was living, who she was laughing with. Frankly, I didn't want to. The rain started that evening, a relentless drizzle. Some old part of me would have found a perverse comfort in its melancholy, a soundtrack for my self-pity. Instead, I pulled on a worn jacket and headed out. Each step washed away another layer of resentment. My anger hadn't vanished, but it had transformed, weathered into something more like understanding. Betrayal was a wound that festered if you fed it, and I was done feeding it. I wasn't looking for some cheesy Hollywood ending, a tearful reunion on a park bench. Hell, I wasn't sure what the ending was supposed to be. But there was a quiet strength in moving on, in refusing to stay trapped in a cycle of pain. The rain soaked through me as I walked, chilling, but oddly invigorating. We'd both lost, both made choices that destroyed what we'd built. But there was a bitter kind of victory in finally letting go, in walking away from the wreckage, in knowing that there was more to life, and to myself, than being a player in a game I never wanted in the first place. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more incredible tales. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts and share this video with your friends.